Texas education leaders have decided to reward public school districts that add Bible lessons in their classrooms. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Christy Harton. That's an update to a story we brought you today at noon. The Texas State Board of Education has now approved a curriculum that would make Bible lessons available for public schools to use in systems across the state. The lesson plans were approved by an 8-7 vote. Local school systems would not be required to use this curriculum, but they would receive financial incentives, reportedly equivalent to $60 per student if they do so. The materials could begin appearing in classrooms as early as next school year. Republican Governor Greg Abbott has voiced his approval for the lesson plans that would offer Bible-infused teaching in primary schools. It's yet to be seen if the now approved curriculum will face court challenges on constitutional grounds.